I have been following card game anime for almost 20 years at this point, and I've been playing card games for about that same amount of time. And in that time, I have sort of pushed for and praised on this channel whenever the animes do things that reflect the real world. Rather, that's Revolver using Imperial Order, Shark using Mystical Space Typhoon, or in other card game franchises, Card Fight Vanguard, people having to drive to a tournament that's just in like a gym, or one of my favorites in Card Fight Vanguard G, where the rival Shion flat out just smugly tells the other two, y'all don't follow the meta. But today, something happened. We got a side of card games that none of us ever expected to see. We got the thing that card game anime pretend doesn't exist. Today, everyone got that rude awakening. It's not about the heart of the cards. It's not about friendship. It's not about building a deck of things you like. No. It's all about that money. That's right. If you've ever built a deck, if you've ever gone to a tournament, if you've ever hang out on locals, you know this hobby is a fucking money pit. You ruined your life. It's done. You're never getting out. C'est la vie, stable future. That's right. You have to put in a lot of money for these hobbies. Now, yes, there are budget options. But do you want to win? Then you better shell out that money for them ash blossoms. That's right. That's what it all comes down to. And this week, they acknowledged this as Hunt. This man, was just flat out selling cards. And I know they were like, oh, he traded them for coupons and shit, but we all know what's fucking happening here. And I fucking love it. It's so insane. This was a side character. Remember this? This was a goofy one-off dinosaur-themed episode character. He wasn't even the opponent in that episode. He was just there on the side. Then he gets brought back because he can smell shit. And then he just gets to be like this mega vendor to the stars, being all like dressed in gold. The minute he showed up in the gold, like I just smiled ear to ear. I'm like, oh my god, only Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. Like the kid just gets like everything to do. Why? Why? I love it. And that's not the only thing. Like, just the opening bit. So first up, the team name, while it is obviously not what I pointed out last week, their team name is Yugioh, Nail, and R. I like that sort of like sounding of they just thought it up on the spot. A part of me was sort of hoping they'd still call it the former Machine Cavalry Club. That would have been funny too, but this is a fun name, and of course, naturally, they're just kicking ass and taking names, and it doesn't matter how old I get, or how cynical or jaded I get, there's just something fun about watching badass duelists just doing some badass dueling. Ro, of course, has all his fangirls, where he gets a gift. We'll get to that in a little bit. Oh yeah, no, they're just winning duels. Show is Luke in the team. I love just how Gakudo and Roman are just like, why the fuck are we going along with this shit? That's good. And so then they do something that this show excels at, and that I am always reminded of how little we've gotten in Yu-Gi-Oh! In a long time, and that is you just get a shot of the three of them hanging out. That's right, Yuga and his two rivals just taking a lunch break and chit-chatting and having little fun moments, like giving Nail, I guess, his first bowl of ramen and all that stuff. That's fun shit. We couldn't even get our main characters who were supposed to be friends hanging out in the last one. And even Arc 5, there was a severe lack of just like, they're just kids. Show them being kids. And while I do get and agree sometimes that in Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s there's maybe a little too much of that, I would much rather take this than the alternative. So yeah, that's what we've got going on there. Then of course Luke and the others show up, and I love just how sour Luke is that the three strongest duelists he know are a team together. Like, that's how you really react to shit like that. That is reality. And so then they're like hanging out, eating lunch, And then just, like, the fucking... And then just Hunt and his two lackeys. That's right. Hunt rose to being the main part of this trio. Hunt and crew show up, where they have actually a pretty smart, fun idea, which is if they beat Yugioh, who is known as the creator of Rush Duels and is one of the most popular people who do Rush Duels, just beat him with maximums. That's how you sell that shit. That is marketing! This kid is better at economics than most people I know. This is genius. Like, just beat Yugioh and show up how good maximums are. You never got that in the originals. If Yugioh was smart, he would have been marketing the shit out of pendulums. You make that money, you little doofus. That's how you get good at Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the money. So then he's like, him and Yugioh are going to duel, where we of course get that maximums are just like out in the world now because of him. It's not because of Goha, though I think that will play into things later. I just love the idea that, no, it's just a kid who wanted to make money. It's so beautiful. And then the duel starts, and we get some meta shit in here, boys. What does my man Hunt do? Turn 1. Upstart Goblin. He is a real Yu-Gi-Oh player, not these children. He just uses Upstart, draws the card. Yuga's like, oh, I got more life points. Bitch, I am using this extra card to kill them life points. This is some Patrick Hoban shit we got going on here. He uses Jurassic World, which, alright, Lost World is obviously their main field spell these days, but back in the day, like when Dino Beatdown was a thing, which it has been a lot over the years, and I think this card was even still used in Dino Rabbit, just to keep Logia and Dolka at big numbers. Like, Jurassic World is not, like, okay, it's not a high tier card anymore, but it is a lot more relevant than the usual brand of dumb one-off field spells they use. But so then, like, also I like the way Yugioh gets rid of it. Like, it's not always I gotta play around the field spell. It's like, no, bounce it back to your hand. That's fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! So yeah, the field spell goes to his hand, and then on the next turn, we get, oh yeah, here's what I love. Kabazula gets an upgrade, or alternate form, or whatever. This is how you know this is made by people who love what they do. Give Kabazula an upgrade. Also, I love, you see everyone in masks. Good one, Yu-Gi-Oh! But also I love that the other three have normal medical masks. Roa's got his own personal mask with the brand name because Roa. And so then the duel goes on, and Hunt brings out his maximum, which of course means that Yuga's gonna bring out a maximum too. And what I love is also, I love Hunt's monster aesthetic. Now they're all just rich dinosaurs, it's funny. So then, like, the kid from the beginning of the episode shows up, and the minute this kid comes into frame, I'm like, why does this kid look so weirdly proportioned from everyone else? Like, it seems so weird and off, and my first thought is, oh, they just didn't have time, they just threw a kid together. No! No! It was on purpose! They were creative enough to think of that. They put that detail in there when they didn't have to. Again, these are people loving what they're doing. It turns out it's Ronze. She was just dressed up as a little boy. I don't know why she had to do that, because these three didn't really know much about her, so she could have just bought in the maximum card. But whatever. So yeah, it's her, and like, she's working with Nail, and they're just kind of helping out, and that kind of thing. And Yugioh wins. The kids learn the error of their ways, except they still remember the most important thing. It's all about that money. And at the end of the episode, the Sebastian is like, take her home. What's going on there? What is happening? I need to know these things, Yu-Gi-Oh! I need to know! And then, of course, at the end of the episode, it's end of the tournament, day 1. It's interesting the tournament is almost being treated like an afterthought, which, you know, considering most of these tournament arcs are long, drawn out, and feature 20 duels with disposable characters, I think the way they're choosing to use this is much more effective. But that was this week's Yu-Gi-Oh! 7s. Before we get on to the end, a couple little notes. First and foremost, thank you to the guy who pointed out last week that, on top of my team theory being correct, they did more to prove my point that this show goes from the perspective that Revolver was right. Thank you for that. I did not think of that till you noticed that. That is pretty cool. Thing 2, If many of you remember, a while back, I did a video where I talked about how disappointed I was in Yashahime and how I didn't think it would get a season 2, or the second half. They probably commissioned all the episodes at once. This morning, Sunrise did announce that this fall, Yashahime season 2 will air. Which is surprising to me, but gotta admit when something happens. That means Sunrise will have 2 things going at once because they have a new mech show going on at the same time. Interesting. But that's that. We'll worry about that later. And as for the TCG question of the week, Ghosts from the Past is out. Those ghost rares, $500 fucking dollars. The Dragoonity shit, $20-$30, and the rest it's a good investment set. My question to you is, are you going for it? Are you trying to get those ghost rares? Are you trying to make some money back on Dragoonities, or are you looking for some investments, or are you just going to skip? Because you don't have to do any of this shit. Tell me that below. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me next week as our kids continue to learn the ultimate lesson: money.